Hello, Nomads, and welcome to episode 117 of the Nomads Fantasy Podcast. My name is Brandon. I'm your host for this lovely episode. But I'm not alone out in the woods. I brought a couple people with me. I brought Eric.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Creepy.
Oh, dude, you should have gotten really close to the microphone and said that.
Like some ASMR going in here.
Yes, dude. And Dave.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo.
Aww.
Samuel.
Samuel.
We hardly
Poor
knew ya.
baby.
Too soon.
Yeah. And for the first time ever on the No Massive Fantasy, we brought in a listener. Thijis, would you be so kind to say hello to everybody and say your quote?
Hi, how's it going? What went we into this wilderness to find? Leaving our country, kindred, and father's homes, we have travailed the vast ocean. For what?
Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That is good.
Yeah, that was good. All good quotes, guys. These are quotes to the very creepy, very recent horror classic. I'm going to call it a classic. The Witch by our boy Robert Eggers from 2015.
Debut, right?
15.
Yeah, 2015. And one of our favorite moments on this show was us talking about The Lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie. It was really fun to talk about. And here we are seeing, his debut film.
We've also done The Northman. So I think we've covered all the Eggers.
True.
Yeah. But Thijis, you were excited to come on this episode because you really like this movie. And I think you even said your wife, it might even be her favorite movie.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my top favorite movies of the last 15 years, at least.
That's something.
Yeah, it's a great horror movie. If you can call it a horror movie, I tend to think of it a little more as a thriller. But yeah, my wife also loves it. She kind of views it as like a female empowerment movie, and
Ooh,
that's
interesting. Okay.
I like that
hinting
perspective.
towards parts of the movie.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get to the community, Thijis, usually, like I said before we started recording, usually we have other podcast hosts on and stuff like that, and we always like, hey, share your show. But for you, changed up the formula a little bit. You got a group going on. If you want to do a shout out about that, that'd be great to hear about.
Yeah, I've been running a Facebook group called Go Nana Go, GONANAGO, which is 575 in Japanese. It's
okay.
Go Nana Go, a haiku group, and I've been doing it for. The group has been around for over 5 years now, but I've been doing the haiku hump days, which is every Wednesday. I do a haiku hump day and I do a quote with it, and then I do haiku each day with a piece of Japanese woodcut art.
Okay.
That's awesome.
What episode you did? It was great because at the end of every episode of our show, for every episode, we end with some kind of fun trivia game or something, right? And we try to tie it in usually, if we can, with the main topic of the episode. You submitted. It was really fun. It was really interactive. You were on our Discord server, which anybody can join. But
nomadsafantasy.com/Discord. Gotta plug it. Sorry, it's just a reflex.
It's good. I hear it every time and I can't do it myself. But you were actually submitting some haikus. What episode? Does anybody remember?
It was Under the
It was
Skin.
a couple ago.
Yeah.
Okay, it was that.
Yep.
That
Yeah, it
recent.
was only 2 or 3 episodes ago. It's the first one back from your break.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to hear it like this in action, it's actually pretty cool. Skip in probably an hour and a half after the episode, but that's the episode. Really fun. So yeah, thanks for coming on the show. I'm pretty jazzed to talk about, just all the things we're teasing already about this movie. It's gonna be an interesting conversation. But before we do, I went on X, Twitter, and oh god,
Barf.
Did they tweet or did they X?
I know. I don't know what you're supposed to say. What are you supposed to say? But anyways, I put it out there. People had things to say about this movie, and I think it was mostly positive.
I got the gauge that mostly everybody that commented was pretty positive. I'll go through all these here. Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, friend of the show. Unbelievable film, suspenseful, beautifully shot, chilling. Scene of the sun rising and falling is stunning. Might want to watch it with subtitles if the strong accents give you pause, but it's a college course in pacing and creepy dread.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, yeah. Bill over there at Gamer Looks at 40 always has great comments for our social section. Derek and Justin's epic quest. Man, the preview for this movie was sick, but I don't think it delivered during the actual movie. I really wanted to like it, but I think it fell flat. Okay, so a little more on the negative side there. I finally watched Podcast as one of my favorite horror movies. The ever-trending story says the opening scene to me was pretty chilling. However, the rest of the movie felt like a drag to me. I don't remember feeling satisfied when it ended. Maybe a second watch is needed.
I think because the trailer showed the whole baby being taken scene, right? And that was kind of like what you thought the movie would be about, and the movie's really not about that,
right?
They give up.
You end up picking up little things after watching it. I saw something this last weekend when I rewatched it for the show, and I was pointing to my wife. I'm like, I never noticed that before.
You gotta be like an expert on this movie at this point.
Yeah, I think I do. I think I want to rewatch this again at some point. Yeah. Drinks and Things podcast says, love this movie. I have a Black Phillip Funko. I didn't know they made those.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it is.
Stu World Order said, he posted his review. He gave it 4 stars. I'll do some highlights of this one. I think it's 4 out of 5. But he said, boy, 20-30 minutes into this one, I was afraid I had found another critically beloved film that just wasn't doing anything for me. Luckily, it starts getting more interesting in the second act, and by the third, it's fully engrossing. Even though I had heard the ending years ago, I was still in a gray area of not really knowing if everything was actually supernatural or if we were just seeing shitty colonial life. We can discuss that as well.
That is interesting.
That's the real horror of this movie, is having to live back then.
Right. Great performances overall. The Phantom File says Robert Eggar's films are always on point. 2 more here. 3 Men in a Podcast says, honestly, one of my faves. It takes place in New England and has that shit weather vibe. Plus, who knows what's real or what's not in that film? I guess during which hysteria, a lot of people suffered from ergot poisoning.
And shit weather vibe.
You got a story of wheat butter,
that. Right?
And last ergot poisoning.
I don't know.
Ergot is like a mold that makes you hallucinate.
Oh,
I believe it was getting into their wheat supplies or their, I don't know, something that was in the bread they bake, I think, or something like that.
That's
you're gonna make me like go from like this to like loving this movie. All right, very interesting. Okay.
Final one, Kylan Savage says, a slow burn for sure. It's a great addition to the folk horror subgenre. So thank you.
I do like that subgenre.
Thank you.
It isn't interesting. It's automatically creepy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That era is just, it invokes
just living out in the woods and being super religious and just highly influential and all that sort of influence rather. It's very creepy.
Yeah. Thanks everybody who commented. Those were great social section. Good comments overall. Mostly positive, but there's some that threw some negatives in there, which it's always good to have a mixed bag because I could see different perspectives.
There were some slow parts in the movie and some pacing times, but we can get into that later. But I could see how that could rub people the wrong way.
Is there anything on the calendar coming up, Dave, that would rub people the right way? Or just rub them?
I don't know if I'm doing any of the rubbing.
Brandon, we can't rub our listeners. Stop.
But no. Coming up shortly, I think we got it next week. We have the indie horror games that we're going to be diving into.
Yeah, dude.
Which would be interesting.
Actually play some of those.
Yeah, I've already started getting into them, and there's a lot of interesting stuff out there. Talking about subgenres of horror and how do you define a horror game, and I don't know. We'll get into all sorts of that kind of fun stuff. And then after that, we'll be doing catch up. Getting into what we've been playing this month. Spoiler warning: Mortal Kombat 1 is awesome. So you wanna hear me talk about
you guys? Oh my god, it can make me so jealous. You're playing Mortal Kombat. You're fucking playing Spider-Man 2 over there. I'm like,
we'll see if I have to play indie horror games. I might have to put Spider-Man on.
I'm sure you'll get Spidey in there.
I will. Yeah.
But no, that's all we got coming up, and then yeah, we got some foreign films coming up in November. So
Okay.
All right.
Stay tuned.
All right, ye. Did I say ye in this movie? I don't remember. Well, let's just get into our wagon because I pissed off the rest of the town. Apparently, I'm being too strict with my religion. They're the ones that are infected with the devil. So we'll leave. Act 1. Head out into the woods. Find a nice spot that we can hold hands and kneel and pray to, and then go into Act 2 and talk about the vitch. The vitch.
Hey, the vitch.
The bitch.
The vitch. Hey, we're back. I sound like a pirate.
I saw that there was a moment there you were deciding what to go, what to do.
Dude, when I'm watching this movie, I forgot because I've seen this movie before, and I forgot that the father, William, dude, I remember him from like Game of Thrones, but like
he was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but dude, he's got such.
I was looking him up last night.
Voice.
He's in Harry Potter. He's in the Last Jedi. He's in the Last Jedi as like an Imperial officer.
As all hell.
Yeah.
I gotta look up this guy.
Yeah, his voice is like booming.
Innocent. Something innocent.
Ralph Innocent.
Ralph Innocent.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he was in the Last Jedi.
Kate Dickey, who plays the mom,
she's from Game of Thrones.
I definitely remembered her.
Yeah, but she's so good in this movie.
Oh yeah,
she is good in this.
Everybody is.
Honestly, though, let's just get this out of the way. I don't like kid acting usually. Usually it really is distracting. But this movie has good kid acting, and I really got to shout out
some of the best. I think
the really young girl, one of the twins, the girl one. The boy didn't talk much at all, but the sister,
Marcy,
dude, she is. I'm not gonna say she's the star of the movie, but she definitely crushed her role.
Yeah.
And I saw in these interviews, like I was watching on the DVD, like they were showing, like I don't know, interviews on set. They were talking about this. Like, she's on there, and I'm like, I was like kind of working, and I look up, I'm like, what? Who's talking? I'm like, that little girl is so articulate and intelligent and sharp and witty, and I'm like, she's got to be what, 6, 7?
That's crazy.
How old could that girl be?
Maybe she's a short 8-year-old. But it's like she's young.
Maybe she's a witch.
Very good.
Clickety clackety.
Yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself, but yeah, I don't know. It was hard to do that guy's accent because it's just like he had a deep voice, and I don't know Old English. And yeah, this movie took place in like 1600s New England. So if you don't know anything about the witch and why we're all acting all silly about this, it's a very fun plot. It's a very fun setting and all that stuff.
I don't know if
it's
fun.
Well, fun is just like it's a great playground to like talk about and make content out of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
But sure, let's let Thijis, if you don't mind. I don't know if you're like, dude, you got to see the witch. What would you tell like a why?
What's the elevator pitch on this?
What's it about?
Well, so I would say it's not exactly. I would never call it exactly a happy movie because of the circumstances that happen throughout the movie. I mean, within the first 9 minutes of the movie, there's a death. The entire setting of the movie is let us do 30 years before the Salem witch trials, and we're going to say, hey, we're going to do an entire movie in essentially a hovel in a field with the very dark ancient woods behind it, and the entire movie is going to be loss after loss, but there's meaning behind each one. And I think I'm not particularly a religious person, so if there's somebody who is more religious, or even to the point where they, it's something that they hold dear to them, I think this movie is infinitely more scary because everything about the movie has to do with repercussions of choices and lies and the eventual degradation and collapse of a family due to the choices that everybody makes in the movie, the father being the main one. I mean, the first thing he says in the movie, the very first line in the movie, is a response to a conversation that we were not privy to.
Right, you really get thrown right in there.
So,
which I love. I love when shit's like shit's tense in the opening scene.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
it's giving a good. It's giving a good setting. It's giving a good kind of grounding of where, when, and what's going on. Basically, essentially.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, the remainder of the movie is an entire family falling apart, and you know, I don't want to get into the end too much yet, but yeah, it is from the viewpoint essentially of Thomason, who is apparently her name is Anya Taylor-Joy, not Anya.
Oh.
Which
We saw her in The Menu. That was a great movie.
Yep.
She was great in that.
Also, this was her first role.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
She's young in this.
I was.
She's Chilean, apparently.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that either.
But you would not know that from her accent or her ability to mimic accents.
Wait,
it's
she's
just
from where?
not something you. Apparently, she's from Chile.
Oh,
interesting.
wow.
In
We'll
case
never
I'm
know.
wrong, but I'm almost positive. I'm like 95% positive.
I thought she was from
But,
Florida.
She was the first audition tape that Robert Eggers saw, too, apparently.
Yeah,
According to IMDb, which is interesting.
But yeah, she is the main protagonist of the movie, and essentially the entire movie is seen from her viewpoint because she's always in the scene. There's only a few scenes in the movie that she's not actually in.
Sure, right. Yeah, the dad and the brother, you know, stuff like that. There's a few scenes, but she definitely is the. And we're gonna get into spoiler territory because I'm gonna come in hot right here. The movie's called The Witch.
Do you know why it's called The Witch?
Is she the witch, or is it the old lady that's the witch? Like I like that the name. I like when a movie can have double meanings. Like, you know.
Well, I think
Dave's itching to tell me why is two V's.
Who the witch is,
So,
I think, is pretty obvious. But the witch, the Vivitch, is how the word was written in the story's period because the letter W was not commonly used at the time, and they did so much historical digging up of what was he using? He was using like court documents and like letters from the time period.
Eggers
and stuff like that.
did his research.
Spent years on this.
Movie.
He did multiple years, but I think that's what makes it so cool. Is like in the beginning they say that like it was, what does it say? It was like it's based off of, you know, old English, old folk tales or something like that. And then at the end we get the little update that like, hey, like, you know, we based all this shit off of like actual like historical documentation and stuff like that, which I think makes it even scarier.
I mean, it's all authentic,
to go along,
you know,
to go along with what you were saying about the type for the name and everything being used from documents. Everything they did in this movie was timepiece accurate. The house was built specifically handcrafted. They had to bring in someone special to do the thatch because there was only one person who could do it. It's filmed in Canada too, by the way.
They were using like time period accurate tools to like build it and stuff. Like, cool.
No, well, I'm not surprised because the lighthouse, he was very specific about that lighthouse with that light. There weren't many left in the world, so they had to make one or something like that. But I remember he was very specific. And you know, another great director that did this is Kubrick. Kubrick really gives a shit about his settings, what his props are, camera, and he really thinks about everything. He they might be micromanaging this stuff, but I think with these guys, they have such a vision. And like watching going back to that making of video, they did nothing but praise like Egger's work. They said, I've never had such a good time making a movie because he had an answer for everything. How should I feel? How should I move? What should I do? He knew everything. Where should I stand? What would I do? You know, and all of this just says that, like, you know, Eggers has only done 3 movies, I think, but he's somebody that you should keep an eye on. And again, I'll also throw A24. It's just like when you see that logo, it's just like, why are they always like usually a good movie or at least an interesting movie?
Well, I think the Eggers thing goes to written and directed by. So anything, I think we run into that all the time where something is written and directed by the same guy.
Tarantino.
Like it comes out. There's just it's so much more thought out and so more well put together, I think.
Usually. Usually.
Well,
sometimes if the director gets too much up their own ass with their vision, it might not turn out the way.
Or those passion projects.
Right,
suck.
exactly. I mean,
Tommy Wiseau or whatever his name is.
Right. You got to have the right vision for something.
Yeah,
we should do The Room one time
good.
because I've never seen it, and that would be fun to watch and talk about. But
I've never seen it either, but it sounds hilarious.
But yeah, that's the plot. That was a deep analysis of the movie, because I would have just said it's about a family that lives in the woods in the 1600s, and they're being harassed by a witch, and shit goes down. And what's crazy is, I think it's fun if we talk about religion real quick. I am not very religious. It really bothers me sometimes how some people can be so religious where, like, I feel like I don't see the real them because somebody got to them first, and like, that's fine if you're religious and everything I'm saying is, like, offending you, I'm sorry, but like that's how I feel. But some of these people, they can't control themselves, and they push their religion on people, and it's just like, like, slow down, like, there's so many people in the world and there's so many religions. How can you know? how can you know? And I'm literally seeing people on the other side of the planet right now blowing each other up, and a lot of this has roots on this shit. So I'm just like, can we all just chill out? And I'm sure everybody here has, like, some relationship with religion, but, like, I like the more religious people to just keep that shit to themselves. And this movie starts off with a family that apparently could not keep that shit to themselves. Is that why this movie is kind of, it's commentary on religion, on faith and stuff like that, right? But then again, like, at the end of the movie, I was thinking, man, they might have been difficult religious people. They might have been too strict that, like, even the town kind of kicked them out. But turns out they were right, because there is a devil, in a goat, and there are witches. So who was actually wrong?
If you're interpreting it that way. This movie,
Okay,
I mean, you can interpret this movie multiple different ways. I mean, that, even Eggers himself said he wanted to leave it up to interpretation of whether, like, is this actually, like, supernatural stuff that's happening, or is this family just slowly degrading, and they're all kind of going
But it's not
psychotic.
edited in any other way. It seems like it really happened.
It's all supernatural, I thought. Yeah.
There are
there are a couple
hints.
shots, I guess, that could be.
Well, I mean, it's got to be fantastical because you're following like a shapeshifter. Spoiler alert.
Right.
Or so you think. They don't explicitly show any of that, though.
But they keep showing a fucking rabbit.
They do.
They don't explicitly show. They don't show the rabbit transforming into the witch. You just make that connection.
You see the hot booby lady come out of the house.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Hand with the kid.
I'm playing devil's advocate because it could be interpreted in different ways. I just took it at face value as, like, yes, all this stuff is on screen, is happening as, that you see it. But I could see how it could be interpreted in multiple ways.
So there actually is another bit in the making of the same, on the DVD behind the scenes. So apparently the corn, the rotting corn, the fungus that's growing on it was a very specific fungus to the time that, I mean, I assume it exists today still, but apparently that fungus is a hallucinogenic fungus if eaten. And he doesn't say that they've been eating it, but the point is that it's there, and that is part of the story.
So that's interesting, because
it leaves the door open a little bit.
I was listening to, because it's Halloween season, right? And we're talking about the witch and all that stuff. And I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, Stuff You Should Know, and they had a short episode about candy corn. And the fact that I just learned was back when they first made candy corn, it wasn't based, because, like, back then when they first made it, it was kind of like it was like a joke to eat corn, because I guess not too long ago, maybe 100 years ago, corn was for, like, chicken feed, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a joke. They were, like, making, and it was all year round. It wasn't tied to Halloween at the time. When it first came out, it was just all year round, and they were just making candy of anything. And the one guy said, hey, what if we just took that chicken feed, that corn, and we just make corn thing, and people eat that? Eventually evolved into, like, in the 50s or whatever, became part of our Halloween tree and all stuff, but nobody likes the candy anyways. But I just thought that, okay, so So I just learned that today, and here I am hearing you talk about that. Like, did they eat the corn? Because they were hard up on food throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
William apparently is like a failure, right? You assume this guy, he built a pretty good house. Like he
Pretty
knows how to
quick,
build
too.
shit. Yeah, he's pretty handy, but farmer he is not. And did they eat the corn? And did they eat the corn and they got fucked up? And they were tripping? I didn't even think about this.
No, me neither.
No,
I assume it was
that was
all
Yeah.
superstitious.
me from this recent watch that I found out.
But where did the baby go? So this
Well,
baby
that's
literally
the
gets
thing.
killed in like less than 9 minutes. I
Gosh,
looked at the
damn.
clock; it was
Mm.
8:30, and that baby is being mushed into like chili or something.
That
Or
was
no, I'm sorry.
dude,
It's body rub.
an
It's
unction.
good to exfoliate the skin. Like it really
Yeah, like
brings
some kind
out
of
the. It's a good
rub.
moisturizer too, and that tough
Well,
like New England
specifically
weather.
that scene. If you notice the just after the witch murders the baby and is making what's called an unction, she's rubbing it on a broomstick, and the scene where you see the moon and
Yeah.
the shadow is her starting to fly. So it's if you
Okay.
remember, do you remember the movie Warlock from the 90s or
Yeah.
late 80s,
R.I.P.
early 90s?
Warlock. He died. That guy got lost in the
Yeah,
woods and died like a year ago.
Julian Sands. He died here in or
shit.
California or Arizona, I forget.
Oh yeah.
But that was the same concept. It was baby's fat to fly.
dude, yeah.
So
Okay.
it's
That's
like
the
you
thing?
said, Thijis, earlier, you said like this is not really a horror movie. It's more just unnerving, unsettling, disturbing in some scenes.
the music plays a big part of that. Apparently, he had no intention of having any music in the movie, and I guess they made the movie entirely, and he's like, "Nah, it needs music.
It's like
It's got to have
Shining.
something."
It's not even
Like
like
that.
music though. It's like
it's ambient.
I call it a
Yeah.
soundscape. To like, because it adds
It's like ambient.
It adds to the
Yeah.
scene, but it's not something I'm going to put on Spotify.
Right.
Apparently, all the music too is also time period specific instruments as well. So anything made for the movie was made with something that was made or able to be played at that time.
Love it.
Oh, hey,
It's like
I
it's like
do
the same
like
stuff he
that.
did with the lighthouse. You know, we're using
Right.
that crazy
Black and
instrument.
white.
If you use that, if you watch
The-
the video on the composer,
Oh,
of the
yeah.
lighthouse, like he's got
The
some.
winding.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I know the
what
name,
is
but
that
I
called?
forgot it.
It's got a good name,
Uh,
like a willy nilly or a
Yeah.
heebie-jeebies.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
know
yes,
what
something like that, right?
But I like that Eggers went. I like how he did the lighting for this movie. He
Hurdy-gurdy.
appeared-
There you go.
Hurdy-gurdy,
Thank
Dave.
you.
Well, look at
No,
you.
it's Google. It's not me.
But you're so willy-nilly. Like that's so pretty close. I was thinking like
Some
I don't know
dumb
what I was
name.
thinking.
Hurdy-gurdy.
Yeah,
You play it in Sea of Thieves. That's why. Oh.
So see if these is great.
Ticky tacky hand crank machine.
Egger's lighting is really good. I really like how he did it all natural. For the most part, I'm sure there's some lighting in there. But
Those partly
the
the
candlelit-
cinematographer said it was mostly all natural light. Essentially, what
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah,
Which is
I'm sure the
insane.
interior shots when they really got to do like a key lighting, I'm sure they,
Mhm.
but like just I don't know if it's where they were, but the location just seemed to really work very well. They scouted out a very, very good spot
They were
to
in Canada.
film this movie. Yeah, you were saying Canada,
Mhm.
which is
And they
Those
got some intense woods out there.
Thick ass forests that they got out
Mhm.
there.
The old woods.
I was saying this before, but I live, on like 5-6 acres, and it's mostly like wooded. And when I have my light going out in my backyard, it does the same thing where it's just like the first line of trees, and then it's just like fucking blackness behind that. And
Never
that's
know
one
what's
thing
hiding
in
in
this
there.
movie that the one thing that like right now, like I can look into the woods and see nothing. Like something could be watching me from the woods, like a witch. Something could be stalking me.
Dave,
a goat,
Dave,
perhaps.
Black Phillip.
there is something watching you from the woods.
Like this movie creeped me out the same way that Blair Witch kind of creeped me out of the woods.
Yeah.
Like the woods is a creepy ass setting, especially when it's like, old and overgrown and
you're all
you got
alone.
that-
There's no
yeah.
When there's-
internet and cops and
the
stuff
feeling
around.
of solitude and like,
That concept when
Well, not only that,
there's
too, but
hundreds of
how many of
miles
you-
of woods around you. No civilization
Mhm.
within miles.
How many of you have actually like been in the woods in the middle of the night in the pitch black
Oh yeah, it's scary as fuck. Have you ever? I've done
It's
it
scary as
driving.
I don't know
And
if
you
I
like you're
actually
going
ever
on
have.
that road and you turn lights off. You're like, Jesus Christ! You turn it back on. It's
Yeah, driving.
yeah, light pollution is a thing, man. When you get away from that
Oh,
and
yeah.
you really go
Yeah.
out there, oh,
Look up at the sky.
It
Fucking,
is
you'll see
dark
way.
as shit.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
How many
yeah.
stars are there?
Yeah, it's,
Right.
but the woods, inherently the woods are a very scary feature throughout all of folklore in
Oh yeah.
human
I'm
history.
surprised they
The
didn't play
woods,
more into this movie though. Like it really was more about their homestead, right? It seemed like it mostly focused on the characters. Kind of, go to a little babbling brook over there, hang out in the house, hang out in the yard, and then a couple shots in the woods and the witch's house or hut, whatever. But no like nighttime like horror, no jump scares,
Well,
none of
every
that.
time they
No,
showed the woods or went into the woods was kind of a moment where you knew something was going to happen.
Right.
Or
Like the
some
dog
yeah.
gets killed, the
Right.
kids get separated, the boy gets molested or whatever.
Right.
Tejas, you were saying how like you recommend it, which I typically do this, but because I do like the experience, but to wear headphones specifically for this movie.
Yeah, there's a
And
big
no
audio
subtitles. And I did. I know subtitles this time.
Oh, okay.
And I did okay.
I did. I had to go subtitles.
But I've
I
also
actually
seen this
did
movie
go in with
before,
subtitles
but
this
like
time myself,
but
just
they
so I
hear
could,
but make sure you follow along with some of the
Yeah.
words. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But the sound, though, like what's interesting about hearing this movie with headphones is constantly, very subtly, they'll have like this
Yep.
Something
this
rustling.
rattling sound of something in the woods.
That's
Always. And it's definitely her in some capacity bebopping around.
Yeah.
Doing
Yep.
something. She's ever present. The whole movie. You could be inside and like you're if you don't watch this with headphones, you might not notice it. You just hear mostly the people talking and the other standard sounds like animals
Right. Yep.
chirping and all that stuff in the background, but with headphones I noticed it's at first I thought it was wind, like wind with like leaves, but then I noticed no, that's like dry leaves on the ground and something's like constantly moving them and stepping on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's an ever-present threat in the background, even if you don't actually see her. Apparently, the woods are anytime that they show the family in the field, the woods are always in the background. If I remember, there's not actually a scene ever where there is not the woods are not in the background somewhere.
That's cool.
Right.
That is creepy.
We're suckers
it's
for
always looming.
one. We like
Yes.
that one location movie, like a story that's really in like one spot. Usually, because you get to know it so well, and it is a character. And you're right. There's so many shots where like the character that we're trying to show is here, but there's a big glass window or whatever, and it's just showing the woods, and the camera slowly pans and.
The music doesn't help that. Music is very unsettling when it's looking into the woods as
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
like, I guess spoiler warning. Like once you find out that the witch is, because at a certain point in the middle of the movie, I'm like, oh shit, the witch is the fucking rabbit. I'm like, I'm sure of it.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
eventually, you figure out that the witch is also other things. And when she takes Caleb, like that was one of the creepier friggin' parts of the whole movie, because
Yeah.
that something horrible is about to happen. But yeah, I think that's what would make it a good second watch, is being able to go back and specifically listen for like hearing a crow in the back and in the audio
Right,
somewhere,
dude.
or
Yep.
like you said, the
It's
rustling in the leaves and
constant.
stuff like that.
It's constant, and you think, and just like them, you don't know. You just assume it's that shit. They like come on, Thomason loses a baby playing peekaboo. Like it was not a fucking wolf. It was mere seconds. Something fucked up happened.
And you see the little bit of grass shaking near the woods.
You knew. Yep.
As she looks up, so something just zipped by really quickly.
Really quick. Yeah. And also, I remember the first time I saw this movie, I thought the boy, Caleb, was the dad. I don't know who William was, but like I remember this. I remember thinking the brother is Thomas. They just call him Thomason. because it's Old English or something like that. And I'm like, this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the the daughter's name is, like the main character. I remember. And then it like later in the movie, I was like, oh my god, her name is Thomasin. Never heard this name before. And
She's got Sin
it's
right in her name.
With it myself.
I was just gonna say, I didn't even realize that.
Thomasin.
How dare
Thomasin. So that's got to be an Old English name. Did they make it up for the movie? Do we know, or if it's?
I'm not actually sure.
Yeah,
if it's
not
a
sure
real,
what the
I've never
origin
heard
of
that name
is.
before.
Yep. Yeah,
I
Thomasin.
was like,
But
Thomasin is a very interesting character because, like, I mean, obviously, I feel like even though this movie is very like supernatural, that's about witches and stuff, it's also very relatable because you have family issues. I feel like, you know, even if you have a happy family, there's always some sort of, whether it's relatives or, you know, other people throughout your family, even if it's not your core nuclear family, there's always some sort of tension, family issue, trust issues. And that's what this movie's all about as well. Because, I mean, Thomasin's a teenager in this movie. And obviously, you know, when you're a teenager, your parents probably don't trust you or believe what you're saying as, you know, as much as you'd like them to. So, I mean, we see it in this movie, very apparent, you know, at every turn, Thomasin's parents are challenging what she's saying, blaming her for something.
Well, it's the mom
she
and
lost
the dad and the mom.
baby.
I mean, yeah, but it wasn't her fault. Like she was.
They don't
exactly.
At that point,
that's my whole point. That's my whole point. Like she can tell them.
I made a note. She feels like shit losing the baby to a witch. Like that's what I wrote.
Of course she does.
She's just getting beaten down by her mom, like constantly.
She's just trying to please her.
How can she come back from that, though? You know, after you lose your baby brother,
you hear you're stuck in that house.
No idea what happened.
Right, crying,
weeping, day in, day out,
over and over.
Like she's dealt a raw hand at the whole start of this. Which, I mean, my whole theory for the movie is that the witch was grooming Thomasin the entire time and trying to turn her against her family so that she would, in the end, spoiler alert, have nothing left. So she turned to the
join
witches.
the coven.
Mm-hmm.
She can't go back.
Yeah, I think
like it was orchestrated.
That's a completely legitimate viewpoint too.
Yeah, like that was how I viewed it. Like everything was orchestrated around Thomasin to get her turned against her family, and then at the end she's the only one left, and you know she's got no other options, so makes the deal.
Hold on, you're gonna go back to town, and then you're gonna get burned at the stake, essentially.
Right.
Where did Black Phillip come from?
He's a goat.
I don't know his origin, but
that's a great question. That's one of the unanswered parts of the movie. Is like
when does he show up?
He's not in the beginning. You don't see him.
He's not in the beginning. Unless the dad like over like 6 months or whatever, like kind of went back and forth into like village just to get like supplies and shit. Because he does say he goes in and he does stuff off screen. Like I went into town, I sold the mom's.
He could have picked up a goat,
family heirlooms. So he must have got the goat. But like so the devil was born into a baby goat into this village, and then knew it would eventually be pulled into this family. It just seems like a very weird path for a goat to like go through just to get to this family.
There's
just to be purchased,
there's supernatural stuff happening. So like
are they
devil
like milking? Like are they drinking his milk too?
No, Black Phillip's a boy. He's not. You can't.
He's the boy. Yeah. So then
don't drink his milk.
So
what are they doing? Why is he on the farm? What do you do with the male goat?
Everything. I mean, the devil embodies this goat, correct? So. The devil he's whatever in this universe, one of like the most powerful being. So he could mess with their minds. He could make them forget, like, or make them remember that, this goat's been here the whole time. So like, I feel like he was probably in some way messing with their minds to like not question why he was there. He was just there.
Is the goat really Satan? Or is it like the witch in disguise?
Well, that's the thing, right? Is you don't really you can say yes, but the idea is that it could also just be the witches, and it's plural because there's more than one,
right?
And it could be the witches messing with the family through the goat.
That's true too.
But
in traditional, sorry, in traditional folklore, witches serve the devil. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was gonna say too is the um. Oh man, now I forgot.
I'm sorry.
I forgot.
I completely
No, it's okay.
lost
It's
your
not even
train of
funny.
thought.
Well,
Just
hold on a
that
second.
his
So
character was important, but
he it is important, but like he comes out of nowhere. Apparently he's the devil, or he's some kind of evil entity. We just assume he's the devil because of their but it is interesting because he is very powerful and he can read Thomason's mind. I thought this was a really nice touch. I didn't really think about the first time, but the second time I saw it, when he first reveals himself, which is, I think, really chilling, because you're just not expecting this really casual,
Right.
soft-spoken voice
I was thinking,
out of nowhere.
like, normally,
Yeah.
like, when you hear the devil speak, it's speaking in, like, tongues and, like, Latin and stuff. That's what I was expecting. But then, yeah, you got
Right.
this suave, like, hey, you want to sign this book?
But this was cool. Like, he eventually goes behind Thomason and he's like whispering in her ear. And she's standing there. He's like, do you want to go with me, basically, and join me and like leave this life, right? And he looks like yeah. But he looks like somebody that was in the village earlier in the movie. So when they're first leaving the village, the camera's like on the back of the wagon and they're going by and you see like kind of like Native American dudes are walking by, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all looking back and the doors closing on them. But you'll see like more they not pilgrims or conquistadors, but they're definitely dressed up some kind of old English royalty kind of gear. And I'm just thinking, dude, she's like a budding teenager, she's starting to get the hots for men, she's starting to think about sex and all that stuff. She probably was attracted to these fancy dressed men coming into the village. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense for why would the devil look like, because if you look, it's like a white guy with like this fancy garb on. And I was like, why does he look like that? Like, where did that come from? But it's like, that's her version of sexy, right? And like she's already been forbidden of any sexual thoughts or anything. She's living with these very, very extreme religious parents, right? So inside she's internalizing, this stuff. So I just think it's repressed feelings that the devil was able to read through and say, I know what you did. You probably had the hots for like some of these guys walking around in the village. It was just very normal for people to be.
I don't get any of that.
I didn't
saw
pick,
that.
I
Maybe
didn't pick
everybody
up on
else,
that
but,
either.
No,
really?
It's just,
I don't know.
like,
I feel like that's what that whole scene was.
The goat and the
Like,
devil, like I didn't really, I guess, because the goat does lead her to the coven of witches. So essentially, I guess technically the goat is just Satan, I guess, in this movie.
yeah, and he's promising her like
to live
a life
deliciously.
to see the world and
I mean,
all this stuff.
they literally have this book, and she literally signs her soul away so that can get
it
this
goes
life.
from the metaphorical to the
right
physical.
She's literally signing a book. Yeah.
But the way that the witches or Black Phillip or whatever, kind of the way that they go about everyone in the family, like they know everyone's weakness. Like I don't know if it's whether it's from watching them or mind reading or whatever. Like they know that little Caleb has got a thing for boobies, and like that'll suck him right in. That's the tractor beam that'll pull him in. They know that she wants to live deliciously.
Sexy
the
lady
mom,
in the woods.
like
I'm
you and
sorry.
the kids.
Just a random
run away.
Right? Exactly.
No.
So there's some interesting stuff about the movie too, because each one of the family members has, with the exception of Thomason, every single family member has a sin against them in the movie. The father sold the mother's silver cup and lied about it.
But he's got pride too.
The mother is extremely proud about her old heritage and despises the life that she's been led to in this new world where she no longer she is not in England, the place that she wants to be, and she hates her family because of that. Caleb lies about the apples. It's a simple thing, but and then he is a growing boy with only one other girl on the farm.
Right.
So yes, he is peeking at his sister because it is like, you guys are living by yourselves in the damn woods. Not saying it's right. It's just that's what's happening.
Oh yeah, we all get that. Yeah.
Mercy and
Men
Jonas
are wired the way they're wired. I just can't. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Mercy and Jonas are speaking to the goat, and it's not exactly 100% whether it's true or not, but they've sold themselves to the goat, in some way, shape, or form. And Sam was a baby, so Samuel was,
born
innocent
into sin.
The kids sold themselves for candy corn, probably.
Yeah, for little candy pumpkins. So yeah, Thomason in the end is really the only person throughout the entire movie who tells the truth the entire time. She's the only one who is being beaten down for something she never did, told by her mother constantly that everything is her fault. The father, even though William says, I believe you, when it gets to the scene with Caleb's death, which, by the way, we have to talk about Caleb's death.
Oh, of course.
After that, he essentially tells her, no matter what you say, we have to go to the village because you need to be essentially put on trial. This is out of my hands, is essentially what he tells her. Even though she says to him, you're a liar. You did this. You stole the cup. You've lied. You've done all these different things. Tells it to his face, and his only response to it isn't yes, you're right. Is anger towards her. Everything about the movie is these other family members having, these things that they weren't necessarily horrible bad, but used against them to the nth degree. And Caleb in the woods with the sexy witch lady in the hovel, beckoning him in. But yeah, I mean, it's like a collapse. But Thomason's the only one who never actually did anything wrong.
The only thing I would say Thomason did was be mean to Mercy and tell her she's the witch, which you could see as a form of foreshadowing, because like she's pretending to be this witch, or she's telling Mercy that she's the witch.
Showing personality, and like she's just so like beaten up and like just needs some kind of. She's just let that out. I mean, my 8-year-old, 9-year-old, whatever, he cannot control himself. He's a great boy. He's a super nice boy. But sometimes he's just like so wound up. He just like kind of like can't help himself. He just like instigates with the little one, or he just has to do something, and it's just like he can't help himself. And this girl, she's just feeling all this guilt and shame and all that stuff. And yeah, even that I let slide because as a teenager, that's got to be the worst place you want to be. I mean, she doesn't want to be sold to another family or whatever. But man, like it's got to be better than where you're at, right? You're like shit and all stuff.
I was going to say really quick, that conversation about sending Thomason away, that doesn't happen until after Samuel dies.
It never happens. Yeah.
So it's almost like the mother placing all of the blame on her, and knowing that her only recourse is to send her away. But
she can't bear to look at her anymore.
Yeah. But
Caleb. If it helps, I just have a quick fact note while I was just looking through the cast on IMDb. The old lady that played the witch, Bathsheba Garnett, known for The Witch in 2015. She was born in 1925, which means she was 90 fucking years old when she filmed this movie.
No way.
Damn.
She looked good.
1925. I'm like, yeah, girl.
Get in there.
How do you get approached? Right? How do you get approached for that role? Hey, you want to crouch down in a fucking barn next to a goat naked and attack some kids?
All the free bloody milk you can drink.
Right?
Yeah. She was in Mean Girls too in 2004 though, but
oh man,
I just thought that's the last thing that she's impressive. Done at 90 years old though. I thought that was kind of.
Is she still alive, David? I can't imagine she's still alive.
Hold on,
because if she was 90 in 2015, I mean, she's gonna be setting some records as one of the older.
I mean, there is no death date on.
Okay, good for her. Maybe she'll be in the next Witch 2.
She'll be in Nosferatu.
99 then? 98, 99?
Witch 2 takes over Manhattan.
There's an article in the New York Post. How a 91-year-old actress prepared to eat a baby.
Okay, wow, that's a headline for you.
It's just how you go about your acting life. I don't know.
let's talk about Caleb here. So Caleb, great performance, another good acting from a kid. Like,
amazing.
The kid really
Some of the best I've seen in that scene.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you really feel for him because like he's being a believer of what his father's telling him. He's trying to be like his dad. He's trying to absorb everything about his dad, and he just is like, Dad, but like my little brother is going to hell, and he was a baby, and he's just trying to understand the world around him, and and he's trying to like be the man and grab a gun and get food. He's trying to like, you're always rooting for Caleb, poor kid. I don't know what happens to him. He's got a very interesting story, but yeah, probably one of the best, if not the best, scene in the movie is sadly his death. Right? Is that?
I mean, it wasn't.
He dies, right?
It wasn't all sad. It looked like he had like a giant like wicked Jesus orgasm, and then just like died from like.
But I don't think that was him. Though. I don't think the.
No, I mean you're not wrong. It is his breathing and body motions are that of joy and pleasure. But the point the mother makes is that she says shortly after, she says that the devil can come in beautiful forms as well. So she's convinced that he's in hell and did not ascend to heaven. So like that adds.
It could have just been
tenfold to her grief.
A last like dig from the witches, like giving them false hope or whatever.
Yeah.
I was waiting because I like what he was saying was just like it felt like it didn't feel like him. He was just like being a vessel, like channeled for somebody else speaking for him.
If you take it as like sarcasm, like that could be.
That's how I took it.
Definitely be a witch's dig.
Like the devil's giving a middle finger to these religious people.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, it's like my Lord, my love, kiss me with kisses of thy mouth. How lovely thou art! Thy embrace, my Lord, blah blah blah, my love, and then just and then dies.
Well, then he spits up the apple.
Oh, the apple too. What was with that? Because they were
that was
he lied about the apple. Oh yeah.
But I heard an interesting thing about another discussion about this movie was that the apple is almost like a virus. So like when he spits it out, it's almost like he brought the power of the witch inside the home.
And it goes it ties back to religious roots as well, with the forbidden fruit and everything. Obviously the apple was intentional for sure.
Well, true, and like it's basically like Eve or Lilith or any kind of like the females from like that side of religion were like kind of given the finger to the men a little bit, like here's your apple, stick it up your ass and come out your mouth kind of thing. That could be. I could see. So like, was it your wife or something that sees like the strong female kind of story arc here? What like what's the angle there? Like what's going on there? I mean, as I watched it as a man, I wasn't really thinking anything like that. As a woman, like what did she see in this story?
Well, because the entire time frame that this movie takes place in, patriarchy is the say all be all of every conversation. If the father, they are there because the father said we are going here. They are stuck in the woods because of the father's stubbornness, which we don't know what happened, but it was because of his stubbornness.
And it doesn't even matter because it's what he says. Yeah.
I mean, she stands in the beginning of the movie. She stands stunned.
Mm-hmm.
Her brother comes to get her because, she's like, "What the hell just happened? How did this just happen?"
Right. This is not a good idea.
even the mother, even though she has, her sin of pride or whatever else is piled on top of that, even she is like, I hate it here. I wish we were back in England.
I don't blame her.
I want to be
home.
mean,
probably England sounded better. It definitely would have worked out better for her.
But so the point is that my wife sees this movie as like a strong female movie because in the end she ends up, yes, she loses her entire family, but she's also freed of that world, of the world of the patriarchy that will do nothing but sell her to someone, demand that she become a baby factory.
Well, what about Caleb? Caleb was a good boy. I mean, he was being turned into something like that, but at his age, he was still an innocent male. Like he did nothing but like try to help his sister, and he said, "Hey, just sleep."
He I'll take care of the family. Ran into the woods and paid for his
lies.
I mean,
paid for his lies, but also was manipulated against the family with the witch as well.
If you look at the time period, I mean, the entirety, like history of women being prosecuted as witches was all done by men, and obviously, these women weren't really witches. They were just being prosecuted by these men.
But it was women that started
that
that whole Salem thing, though. It was girls. It was girls that started that shit, and they just jumped on it. But it was girls that started that.
Well, that was the other interesting thing. Apparently, this movie takes place just 30 years before the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were
could you imagine
hard
me that fucking religious? Where you're like, yeah, I saw Mary last night, and she's a witch. Like, oh yeah, and they're just all jumping. Like, what is this? Is like The Simpsons? Like, what are we fucking doing? It's just like everybody's just like in Springfield, just
a woman
like
is doing something a man doesn't approve of, so she must be a witch.
Just to be that
into my
blindly religious.
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
It's not cocoa, damn it.
That's the real horror, Brandon. Living back in the 1600s.
But like, and know, what did you know? You didn't know shit. You didn't know shit back then. What did you know? Like, where is he going to get education? Where's Caleb gonna learn about math? There's no fucking math. There's two nails.
I mean, that's the whole thing too.
Do it. You know, like
that's the whole thing too. Like
they were doomed from the start going out there. Like
they're under the rule of the male figure in the family. So just like Thijis was saying, like what he says goes. He teaches them everything they need to know. What he says is like gospel to the or it should be.
Right.
And if they disobey, then they're treated.
The other comment that Thomason throws into his face too when he's accusing her after Caleb's death, and she says, "What are you good for? Nothing but chopping wood."
Right.
She throws it in his face because.
And I was gonna say when he's killed by Black Promise, I'm like, there's not enough food, but man, we're ready for like 2 fucking winners here. like, can you do anything other than cut wood, dude?
That was poetic when he got buried under that pile of wood, that huge pile of wood that he's been chopping.
Yeah. How did that goat stab him? Like Black Phillip,
he gored him
with the horns
from the
side, I think.
From the side, because his horns come back, and I'm like, I was trying to think of the physics of it. Like if a goat comes up,
just whipped his head around,
throws it to the side.
A little suspension of disbelief in that scene, but he got gored.
Dude got messed up though. There's no coming back from that, especially like nowadays. I don't think you're coming back from that.
So once Caleb is dead, then Jonas and Mercy go into still to this day, I'm not sure, was it a fake coma? Were they pretending, or were they actually in some sort of trance that they could not respond? Because
I think
they are very interesting background characters. You don't notice that they're just laying it because like the dad just like after Caleb dies or whatever, the dad just leaves. I'm like, your 2 other kids are like in the corner just laying there in weird positions, and the dad just leaves. I'm like, you just lost a son. You might want to check on your twins, and like shit's going down, and he leaves.
Imagine if you were a little kid their age in that situation. Like, I feel like you would just shut down too and pretend, maybe they were pretending, maybe they weren't, but like, I took it as them like just trying to completely shut down and shut everything out.
Because they're obnoxious a little bit, and they are probably just like being like weirdos and just kind of going with the vibe.
I want to go back.
I didn't view it as that way. I viewed it as they were like fucked up from what just happened.
Oh, well, we got to see multiple. I want to go back and watch again because I want to see how much they're interacting with Black Phillip before then, because
they're teasing him constantly.
They could
Black Phillip
already be under the control of Black Phillip by the time this happens. So they may just be like Trojan horses just waiting to drop witch bombs on everybody. I don't know.
Maybe,
but we don't know. They just disappear at night, right? Like when the dad locks
witch
them all
reveals
in the barn.
herself in that little thing that they're trapped in.
I think this is the only
and then they're just gone.
I think that's the only part of the movie that I had an issue with. I get that they were trying to like wrap it up, but the disappearance of the 2 kids just seemed unceremonious. Like the next morning they were just gone.
Well, the other thing is if you think about it, because of the very last scene in the movie where the witches start to fly. And if you put 2 and 2 together, that 2 children's bodies are missing.
Okay.
Yeah,
they may have been turned into a unction as well.
Sure.
Unction. What is it? Unction.
I could definitely see the
old-timey word.
I think the ending a little bit. I liked the ending personally because I think
it's a trip.
Like Thijis was saying, and his wife agrees that it is empowering to Thomasin because she was thrown into this horrible situation. She got dealt a terrible hand. Obviously, her family is dead at the end of the movie, but like she's free of this life, and like I think even though she made a deal with the devil, it's better than her situation that she was in before. And like if all of these witches that, you know, were in the same situation that she was in, then you could see how like, you know, getting out of their situations and going into this coven where there is this, you know, sense of camaraderie. Maybe they are evil, maybe they are, you know, messing with not necessarily innocent people if we look at the family and everything that the father was doing, but you know,
is that the only time you see somebody happy in the entire movie?
Exactly.
Is her at the end.
Exactly.
Like
that's what I'm saying.
It's funny.
Well,
It's like they're always praying during
scene...
the entire movie, and like, is that the answer to her prayers? Is like her family getting slaughtered and her being happy?
Right in the beginning.
No, I don't think so.
Right in the beginning, as the mother is breastfeeding the child outside the house and the children are playing, it is the moment of the movie where it is the happy family. Like they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone there is happy for the most part. Things are complete. But it, you know, that's the first freaking 6 minutes.
Right.
And then that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is one way to start a movie.
I really did like
this
one. Some of A24 movies I can go either way on. Like when we watch Under the Skin, like that one took me a little bit to come around to, but like this one, my wife stayed up for the entire time. She loved it too.
It helps that it's only 90 minutes, you know.
Yes, that did.
Yeah,
but it had like had a full
tight script.
It had a full like legit story to it. It's not like The Lighthouse where a lot of stuff is like open to interpretation, and towards the end it just gets
a lot of that movie is
batshit crazy towards the end. Like this one has a beginning, a middle, and end. It tells a story. It may not be happy at all times, but it's, you know, well thought out, well put together, and you know, I thought this is friggin' great Halloween movie.
Yeah,
especially if you live near the woods or in the woods.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think this movie definitely did not overstay its welcome. They didn't. I like the way it started because they're, like we've said before, there is some backstory to what was happening there with them in the village, but we don't need that. We don't need that you know, background on what happened to them. We just know that for some reason they're leaving the village because they had their differences with the people there, and this is where the story starts. So, you know, it's not bloated, and it's a tight 90 minutes, like we were saying. And I think, you know, I really enjoyed watching it. I mean, I wouldn't say enjoyed, but
it's good.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Did you guys know that Robert Eggers also has short films for Hansel and Gretel and The Telltale Heart, which are also old?
I mean, that makes sense.
No, that sounds great. I would check those out.
Tales or whatever. I'm just flipping through his IMDb or his.
Check those out.
Isn't Telltale Heart Edgar Allan Poe?
I think so.
Yeah,
something like that.
I'm super excited for Eggar's Nosferatu remake. His interpretation.
Oh my god,
that one's gonna be. It's gotta be good.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
It's nice when you can find one of these directors where, like, he just makes good movies.
It's just one of those
everybody
where
has
like,
that.
Yeah, it's just one of those guys where you're like, if you put something out, I will check it out. You know, I will watch it.
Check it out.
Yeah,
he's a lot younger than
Nolan, Tarantino. Like, yeah.
I don't know why, but in my brain, I just pictured him as like a late 40s, 50-year-old guy. But he's
younger.
At the behind-the-snes stuff. Yeah, he's a pretty young dude. I'm like, well, damn, he's got many years of movies coming.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Who did Midsummer and Hereditary?
That was Ari.
Oh,
what's his name?
Ari Aster.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Right. And then who did Annihilation and
Garland? Alex Garland.
Mm-hmm. So these those three directors specifically are like I think up and coming.
We talked about
so
Jordan
far.
Peele too. We threw him in the mix as well.
Oh, Jordan Peele, yeah, and absolutely him too.
Definitely.
Like
I can't wait to
these
see what he
guys
does
are
next.
paving the way of doing a good take on keeping things fresh with good stories, good acting, memorable shit. Yeah, in like horror thriller kind of sci-fi shit and stuff. And I love it. Those guys, I see their name on it. I'm excited.
Well, it's like you
Is
said
there
before
anything
too.
else we want to talk
You
about
mentioned
on this?
A24, and I was just saying, A24 for me is like a stamp of approval now. When I see that, I'm like, I'm in.
Yep.
I'm good. Let's watch it.
You're not gonna get any weird cookie cutter Marvel superhero movies out of them. You're gonna get something that you may not like it, but it'll probably make you think at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's
Wrap this
it.
puppy up. Yeah.
Burn the witch.
That was an interesting one.
That was a great pick.
Yeah, finally got around to doing it. I knew it'd be a good conversation. There's a lot to dig into. There's probably more that we could talk about, but I think we've touched on the big things. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Nosferatu. I think he will do an excellent job with that, and I actually want to see Nosferatu, the movie, just the original. I just think that'd be interesting to see.
I've seen the original
movie.
Actually,
Is
like
it? Is it? I can do really old movies. Is it?
I mean, it's a silent movie.
Yeah. Is it watchable though? Like, can you?
From what I
tolerate?
From what I remember, I remember enjoying it when I was a kid. So.
Okay.
I'd like to see it too. I've never actually watched it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen Metropolis or whatever, and I haven't seen a few other of those old movies.
Silent era. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nosferatu is
Grapes of
legitimately
Wrath
like
and-
creepy. Like the design of the character is actually, for the time, is like pretty creepy, but it's cool.
Right.
Check it out.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. Then let's end this, and then we'll take a break and go into Act 3. We'll play a round of movie 20 questions.
Woo.
Okay, we are back for Act 3. We're all here. We all survived, right? No witch or bunnies or whatever.
Nobody's been
took us
taken
away.
into the woods.
We were talking, between the break, between Act 2 and Act 3. We were like, oh yeah, we had a couple stories we wanted to touch on real quick. So let's Thijis, what was your story that you wanted to share before we get into movie 20 questions?
Mine's pretty short. It is when I was watching it in the theater, it was a relatively packed theater, so we were stuck kind of in the back corner, which was cool because this is 16, something like that when it came out.
15, 16, yeah, 15, I think.
But for some reason we got stuck next to this guy who was like twice my size, and from almost the beginning of the movie, he is like throughout the entire movie like audibly upset from this movie, and he's like, no. No, like the scene where Caleb is going into the hut. He's like, no, don't go in there.
Don't do it.
Don't go in,
Right.
don't do it.
That's good.
And I had to literally turn to him at one point, like, dude, you gotta shut up. Like, you're ruining this
Right?
movie.
It's
He was
too
like
intense.
right next to me. And I'm like, ah. But it hit that guy pretty hard.
That's fine.
That's all I got.
No, so for me, it was very spooky. So I'm watching this movie and I'm wearing headphones, and then I'm hearing like this voice. I'm like, that kind of sounds like a kid. I'm like, well, there's kids in this movie, so it's one of the kids. No, it's my kid. So my eldest, for the last 3 years, he sleepwalks. He has night terrors once in a while, and some of them are pretty freaky. Like he's sitting up, he's looking at you, he's talking to you, but he's saying like fucked up shit, like they're taking my heart out.
My sister had this.
So,
Don't
so
watch
it's just always. So he's up there, and he's like, no, and I'm like, that's real. That's coming from upstairs. So I'm like listening. I'm like, he might go back to sleep and be okay. But then my kids sleep in bunk bed, so he crawls out of his upper bunk bed, crawls into the lower bunk bed and sits next to his brother, and he's just going, I'm stuck, I can't get out, I'm stuck, I can't get out, I'm stuck.
This is right during the Caleb scene.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is like
that's fucked up.
This is like when the family shows up to the village to the lot of land that they're gonna, and it's like
orchestral,
yeah, and I'm just like, what is this kid voice thing I keep hearing? And it's my kid. So I had to pause the movie, and like my wife and I are calming him down, and my other kid woke up and he's crying. He's just like, "Is there a zebra?" And I was just like, "This is hilarious." He's like, is he talking about a zebra? And the other one, and like, I'm trying to watch this movie about this family. I've already seen it, so I know what I'm getting myself into. And I'm like, I don't believe in ghosts or any of that shit, but I'm like, man, that is
creepy.
Give me the heebie-jeebies, dude. Dude, when your kid says that stuff and you can't get them out of it, and they're like there, and they're just like, it's just
eyes open,
fucking
and you're like,
scary. They're there, but they're not there, dude. They're possessed. And then I'm like, so I'm watching that Caleb shit later on in the movie. I'm like, oh my god, this is creepy, man. Because I saw it in real life. Could you imagine your kid just like, oh my god. But anywho, I forgot about that. Also, one other thing I wanted to touch on real quick. She stepped on a baby egg. There was like a egg with a baby chick in there in the movie. Did that mean anything when she did that, or was it just accidental, or she had bad luck?
I don't know.
Did she step on it, or did she drop it? Because I thought that was the egg that she pulled out, and I thought she dropped it.
I don't know, but they purposely showed.
Yeah, I don't know if they had a rooster or what, because I don't know if they're just raising the chicken. I mean, they gotta have roosters if they're gonna have more chickens, I guess. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know what that meant. If there was any
when you drop an egg.
It's flooded with all these things I wanted to talk about. And
it could have just been like an ominous warning, like, oh no, more stuff's going on. Because that was pretty early on, right? It was
very early on.
Post Samuel, but before they go into the woods, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
hey, next time you watch it.
One anecdote for me, I went to a farm today for a field trip for my son, and there was goats there, and I'll never look at goats the same. I don't trust goats anymore.
Sing the song to them. There you go.
Luckily, there was no black ones there, so I think we were good. But
white Philip, brown Philip.
They're all staring at you anyway,
right?
With their goaty eyes.
No, they just want food. They're just hungry.
All right, fellas. It is time for us to play a game. of movie 20 questions. Now, we all know the rules, but if you're listening and you don't, 20 questions is very simple. They have basically 19 questions and then a guess. They have to figure out what movie I have picked out, and all I can say is yes or no to their question. So with that,
and if we guess and it's wrong, we lose.
No, then it's over. Yeah, you can't be like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No, and it's over.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. Oh, you don't know.
Another one of that's another one of
maybe-
Brandon's staples.
He loves it.
Star Trek V: The Voyage Home.
All right.
That was a
Who's gonna ask the first question?
Kick it off.
Oh, I'll go.
Do it.
Is this movie before the year 2000?
That's what I was gonna ask. Yes. Is this movie before 1990?
No.
All right, 90s jam. Let's go.
Yeah.
90s jam. Put it with your peanut butter.
So it could
Is
be Dumb and
this-
Dumber and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Good.
Yeah.
Maybe. Is this movie in the horror genre?
Yes.
All right, that helped out.
Ah.
Is this movie live action, like not animated or anything like that?
Yes, it's live action.
Okay, good.
Does this movie have a female lead?
I'll say, you know what? I'm gonna say no.
Oh, okay. Hesitation on that one though. So
Yeah,
a
because
strong,
there's probably a-
so a
Okay.
strong female character.
An
most likely.
ensemble, like a Scream movie.
Yeah.
Is this movie part of a franchise?
No.
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 standalone.
Okay, so not the Scream movies.
Was this movie
Horror movie?
an adaptation of anything else? Book, comic, anything?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Is it Tank Girl?
It's scary again.
So
The movie
horror
with the
movie.
the movie with the kangaroos. The other one.
Right.
That's a
Well,
scary movie.
it's not a franchise, and it's an adaptation. Like Beetlejuice. Is that 90s? Early 90s?
I think
Beetlejuice is
90s?
80, like 8, I
Late
think.
80s?
very okay. Late
Yeah, I
80s.
believe 88, 89, something like that.
Hmm.
All right. I'm not big into horror, so.
Does this
Could
count
be
as a
like a-
question? Did your wife pick this movie, or did you come up with this one?
She did not pick this.
Okay.
I haven't asked her in a while, but she does. Yeah, she does a pretty good job picking.
She's stumped us a
What's your
couple
thing?
times.
Yeah,
The Ewok
that
movie,
Ewok movie one.
It's on Disney Plus now, and I gotta
Yeah.
watch it. I kind of gotta wanna
Caravan
see what
or
it's all
whatever, yeah.
about.
Caravan of Courage or the Battle for
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got it. Now
Yeah,
I
why
feel like
not?
I have to watch it just out of obligation.
I mean, they're bad. They're made for TV movies, but
Yeah.
they're like an hour, I think.
All right. So what do we got
Um,
here? Horror.
90s horror. Not
This is
a
question
not
8
a
we're on.
significantly or not a guaranteed female lead, but possibly a mixed cast lead.
Adaptation.
There's a female character, I guess. And
Yeah.
At the end of
Thanks.
this, you can tell me if who's the lead. I don't know, but
Yeah, but if it's questionable, then it's a sort of like a mixed cast. Then
Not part of a franchise.
That's the tough one. Finding a one-off horror movie from the 90s
well, yeah, especially like one-offs.
that's based off of something. So it's not like an Aliens movie, because those were in
Right.
the 90s.
Yeah, that's what. Right.
I feel like
Wow.
almost everything is based off of something. Like,
Was this movie considered? I don't want to say blockbuster, but did this movie do well financially? Was it popular?
yes, that's 8.
Okay.
if it's popular.
Is this movie? So you said it's a horror movie. I'm trying to nail down, like, drill down on subgenres here. Is this supernatural horror?
No.
Okay.
9.
Oh God, this could be something like
Ooh.
oh man, what is that one with is it Marky Mark where he's the Mark Wahlberg where he's the
Boogie Nights.
no, he's the stalker of the girl in the movie.
Cape Fear?
Yeah, Cape Fear. Is it something like Cape Fear?
I just had one pop in my head.
That.
Oh, and it just popped out. What was it?
It just popped out.
It was just in, and it just went out the other ear. Shit, we were just talking about these too. Where'd my brain go? Not supernatural.
Yeah, see, my brain tends to go to supernatural movies for horror too. So if it's not, it's like a real life thing.
Yeah, it could be like slasher, psychological.
Is this a found footage movie?
No.
No, it's not.
Oh,
No.
fuck.
No.
Oh,
I
I
got
thought
you.
I had
I
you.
was like, oh, it's Blair Witch.
Yeah, right. We were like, that was a shoe-in. Yeah,
I almost picked Blair Witch. That's why I laughed.
that's
I was
fine.
like, I think I did that before.
That's funny.
Somebody's done that before.
I thought I got you. Damn it.
I know.
Not found footage.
8,
Okay.
9, 10. So that was the 10th question. We're on 11. Can I ask about locations or
no, it's not supernatural horror. Never.
if it takes place in the woods? Like, is there anything in the woods that's creepy for us?
Yeah, but I mean, like everything ends up being like a monster in the woods or something.
Is that your question? Is it?
No,
take place in
I'm
the-
just thinking. I'm thinking
Oh,
out loud.
okay.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
all the things I'm thinking of are either franchises or
Think out loud.
natural. Like,
Push me in the right direction.
We talked about like the Scream. Is this like a slasher type movie? No.
No.
All right. Well, he was
11.
waffling a little bit in the beginning on horror anyways, so like it could be like psychological or thriller more than horror.
Right.
I gotcha.
So my brain goes to stuff like The Faculty and things like that, but it's like, well, that's aliens though, or something like an alien. And I think about movies like The Relic or freaking Wishmaster and Chucky. Child's Play was 80s though, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
And that's all.
not a
Those are all
franchise, though.
supernatural. So
Right. Right. Dang.
Come on, guys. I thought you were going to get this in 10 questions.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
I mean, he said it
Oh,
was
okay.
like well-received, popular movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never met one person who said ill of this.
We could nail down what it's an adaptation of. We could try. I don't think it's going to be comic books or, I mean,
Could it
books are the
be
only other-
anything? I feel like no. Never mind. That's also supernatural. I was thinking, could we go? Is there anything Stephen King from the 90s that's
Stephen
not
King.
supernatural?
Like Misery.
Misery.
or-
yeah, Misery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah. No.
Is it 90s?
Is it?
Well, that's
I think
not
that's
really female lead,
90s.
though. That's like that super. Misery's like 90, 91.
It's a good. That's a.
Stephen King actually said
and it
that
could be.
The Witch was terrifying too, by the way.
It
we
could
were
be
wondering.
interpreted.
Oh, did he?
Is
Nice.
Yeah, he liked it.
Is James Caan the main character, or is Kathy Bates the main character?
Yeah, he's the main character for sure. But Kathy Bates is absolutely, it's a 2-person thing.
Yeah.
Is Bruce
That's
Willis in it?
Do you mind if I burn a
Bruce Willis.
question?
Go for it. Just to rule
You
it
guys
out.
are on
Is this
question
a-
12. So
Is this a
you're
movie
good.
that essentially takes place in like one location or super limited locations?
Yeah.
Is it based on a Stephen King book?
Yeah.
It's got it.
Okay.
I think we hit on something
Well,
here.
that or it's Dolores Claiborne, you know. I mean,
all right, so we can. I mean, King in the '90s.
It's got to be Misery. It's got to be.
Yeah, Misery was received really well. She won an Oscar for that movie.
Who was it? Kathy Bates.
It fits all the criteria.
Yeah, Kathy Bates was in.
It's not,
she did get an Oscar.
It's horror, but more on that psychological.
Like the only other thing, what is it? Let's boil down.
Yeah, but that's
King. That's
absolutely
80s.
That's supernatural.
That's absolutely fantastical. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
All right,
Dreamcatcher.
Let's just rule it out. Is Kathy Bates in this movie?
Think so.
Okay, come on.
well, hold on. It could still be, stupid as it is, it could still be Dolores Claiborne.
I don't even know that.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's actually really good. Just check it out sometime. Yeah, I mean, limited location thriller. Kathy Bates is in it.
Is this about an author who gets tortured by a lady?
Yes.
All right. Is it Misery?
Yeah. It is Misery.
Nice.
That's a good one.
All right.
Very good. I watched that not that long ago. That is a damn good movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Nice.
Kathy Bates is great, and she's great in that movie. And I remember seeing that movie when I was like 9 years old. And I was just like, that scene when she knew he was trying to get out, so she re-broke his ankles. I was just like,
hobbled him. Yeah.
Oh my god! I could not imagine being tortured like that.
Crazy. I was about to comment on that. The difference between that part and the book is in the movie she hobbles him by breaking his ankles. In the book, she actually hacks one of his feet off. She hits his foot so hard with an axe that it lodges in the bed, like in the wood below the bed.
Oh
yeah, I was planning on reading the book because I heard about how the book goes down, and I was like, man, that would make a really good HBO miniseries. They really stretched out what really because like 2 hours is long, but yeah, a whole series of him being stuck in that house trying to get out. It'd be so tense.
They did it with the miniseries on Netflix. With what's her name, Gina, or the lady from Haunting a House on the Hill.
Yeah, you're talking about
trapped in the bedroom.
Gerald's Game or not?
Gerald's Game. That's it.
Gerald's Game. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All
Gerald's
right. Well, congratulations, guys. You guys got Misery. Misery's a good, not a deep cut, but like I've never met anybody who's like, that movie sucked. I was like, most people are like, yeah, that movie's fucking good.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes agrees. It's like a 92.
I've never seen. I'm gonna have to add that to the list.
You've never seen it, dude? Oh my god, dude.
It's really good.
Dave. Well, I think we know what we're watching next year.
Put it on the list. Yeah.
I do love me some Stephen King.
James Caan is funny in it too because he's like in my brain I just don't picture him as the role, but he totally pulls it off in the movie. It's like
100%. All right, let's we can wrap this up here.
Wrap us up.
Sure.
Get us out of these woods. Witches.
Please.
If you want to follow us, you can follow us on X and Instagram at Nomads of Fantasy. We got the old TikToks going at the Nomads of Fantasy. YouTube.com/@Nomads of Fantasy for all the video versions, for Brandon's YouTube shorts, all that good stuff.
Cranking them out.
Check out our fancy new website, thenomadsoffantasy.com, where you can also order some merch, as if you're watching the video version. Thijis has his fancy Nomads of Fantasy mug and his shirt. Yes, I love it. I love it.
I love it.
Looks great.
So good.
So yeah,
it does it, and it fits really well too.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
I need to get myself one of those. Like I wanna get our own merch because it just looks so good, especially the mug.
I really like the new logo too. It's simple.
Minimal.
It's good.
Yep.
You can wear this and it's like it doesn't necessarily scream
anything.
It doesn't necessarily scream anything at all. It's just cool.
Right.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Which is kind of on brand. The whole point. We're not fanboys to anything. We're really just you go and explore and see something cool or play something cool, bring it back and let us know. That's really
But
the
if
whole
anybody
point.
asks,
If you want to know,
back
the
to the shirt.
Nomads of Fantasy,
Yep.
there you go. Yeah, like what is that shirt? Just check out the back. But yeah.
So you just have to wear that every day.
Right.
Every day.
But yeah, big thanks to you, Thijis, for joining us. It was it was awesome. It was a pleasure, and you gave us.
Thanks for having me on. I will endlessly talk about this movie if people let me. I love it so much.
Yeah, and you gave us some great insights as well. Some things that we probably wouldn't have thought of. So it was it was great having you on. So
And I'm sure there's 1,000 things I've missed.
Dave, the emotes
Can't
there.
help it.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got. Oh, play our game, whatmapgame.com, if you want to guess some video game maps. Is there anything else?
Join the Discord.
Join nomadsfantasy.com/discord. Yep.
Always have stuff going on in there. Just some art conversations going on in there. It's pretty chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, Dave, as always, safe travels, Nomads.
Good night.
You have access to all those?
I get it to match